Hello everybody, Helcrex here, and welcome to another Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere episode, 389? Yes, 389 episodes. Alright, so, today we're going to be talking about the Jagermech III. It's kind of a redesigned Jagermech with lots of bells and whistles on it to bring it up to, as the House Davian says, hey, we need something that moves faster along with our forces. And this is what they came up with. All right, so the Jaeger 3. It's like Jagermeister. Okay. It is a 580 moving mech. Yes, you heard that right. It's a Jaeger mech that goes 5.8. It's been sped up. All because you put on Indo Steel, ferrofibrous armor, and an XL engine. Yeah. It's got a lot of high-tech equipment on board this thing. Comes in at what does that say, 13? Look at the battle value here real quick. Where is the battle value? Oh, it's 1537. There we go. 1537. That's your battle value. Yeah, it's a 5.8 moving mech. Has a plethora of weapon systems on board, just like the previous Jaegers, but with some upgrades to them. And it has 12 double heat sinks and 9.5 points of 9.5 tons of, not 9.5 points, that'd be really bad. 9.5 tons of ferrofibrous armor for 170 points of armor. There you go. Yeah, it's better armored than the predecessors by a good amount, which is good, because that was the problem with most Jaegers, is that they just get blasted off the table when somebody rolls up on them. You know, they're supposed to be an anti-aircraft type of mech to help your forces take care of like VTOLs and other assorted aerospace assets that come your way. They're really not designed to be engaging in frontline combat with other mechs, even though they end up probably 95% of the time doing that, because, you know, it is what it is when people are playing the game. A lot of times you're not seeing anybody seeing with aerospace assets at all, or running around with VTOLs. So there's that. Not really in its favor per se. Now, weapons. We have 2 medium lasers, one in the right torso, one in the left torso. Okay, those go out to 9. We have 2 PPCs, one in the right arm, one in the left arm. Those go out to 18. And then we have 2 Ultra AC2s, one in the right arm, one in the left arm, with 1 ton of ammunition in the right torso, and no case. It doesn't have room for case. And that's a case for having case, and it doesn't have the space for it. You'd have to get rid of a medium laser to put case on board, which means there might be a case for doing that. Because in my experience, the number of times I've seen a Jaeger go sky high because of ammo explosion, especially one of these Jaeger 3s, not a good thing. Because you got a 1 in 5 shot of hitting the ammo on a Jaeger mech and having it explode. Because typically, most of the time, you've already blew off most of the armor anyway, and a single ammo explosion, even if you have 10 points, 20 points, or 20 rounds left, that's going to detonate that whole side, and it's a dead mech, because it's got Inner Sphere XL engine. That's 3 engine hits right there. And then it just transfers towards the inside, and typically the center torso, and then the internal structures toast. That's been my experience when you hit the ammo on a Jaeger. You got a good shot at hitting the ammo, typically. Yeah. But most of the time, most of the Jaegers I've ever seen that die just take 3 engine hits because they took out the torso, and they go, you plunk, done. Done dinner. Alright, so basically, it's your typical Jaeger. How do you play with it? Is you're going to be having it follow on behind you. It's got some decent range out to 25 with the 2 Ultra 2s. Not that that's a lot of damage, but if you're shooting at VTOLs, yeah, getting a couple rotor hits can do the Lord's work when it comes to knocking those things out of the sky. AC2s will do the job. And if you're double pumping, well, then you have a better shot. So typically, if you get with both of those hits, you might get 3 AC2s rounds hitting the target, typically. One of those might be high enough, but usually it's just 1 and 2, you're looking at that. Because you got to roll at least an 8 or better to get the second round on the AC2 Ultra to hit, which is one thing I don't like about Ultra cannons. Yeah, you hit, and then you got to hit again, basically, and you need an 8 plus to get that second one to do it. Now, an AC10 or an AC20, oh yeah, that's kind of nice. All right, but that's beside the point. It's basically just a plinking weapon system that is designed to try to get mobility hits on any type of vehicle. Against mechs, yeah, you're just looking for that golden BB opportunity to say, hey, roll a chance of critical rolling snake eyes and see where that floater goes. That's how we play it. It's like if you roll snake eyes, it's the floater goes at any position on the mech. Yeah, it could even be in the head for that matter. There had been a few times over the years where the floater goes and hits the head, and it's like, oh, what's this? I rolled a 3, hit the cockpit. Oh, pilot dead. Sorry about your luck. Yeah, that's nice, especially if it's a 2-point shot. Usually it happens when you're throwing a bunch of SRM6 at somebody, and it just like scattershot them, or hitting them with like an LBX 20, and you're getting a maximum all 20 hit, and you like one pointer's going bam, 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 bam. It's like, oh, got one. Oh, that's a floater. Oh, hit the head. Hey, rung your bell. That kind of thing. You're just gambling. That's basically all it is. You're gambling against a mech that you might do something interesting with an AC2. It's against vehicles, trying to get mobility hits is where its strength is, really, to be honest. And that's pretty much what it's designed to. The mech is designed to do is just take out vehicles or hit aerospace assets. Now, when you're sitting out at range, and when you get into 18, obviously you're going to be throwing out the 2 PPCs downrange, and you're going to be following in behind whatever forces. And with the mobility of 5.8, you can get some good speed going. And if you're running this thing, if you fire both PPCs and double pump both of the AC2s, you're looking at 24, 26. You can do that for 2 turns. And then you start moving into that detrimental aspect of the game where I'm not going to be firing everything. You might want to cool off a bit and then go through the rotation. It might be beneficial. If the AC2s are really just the same firing solution to hit as your PPCs, I'd probably just go with the PPCs. So it's that's the route, because that's more damage. I'd go that route. But you can fire everything downrange. Now, when you get in close with the 9, obviously, you're probably going to be not firing off the AC2s, and you might be throwing the 2 medium lasers downrange. So, yeah, then you're looking at 28. You can do that for a turn. And then the next turn you're probably going to go, I can't fire the medium lasers, or I'm not firing a PPC. So the damage output between the 2 medium lasers and 1 PPC is the same. So probably it doesn't really matter, but if you like the 10-point shot, that might be the way to go. And it's probably got maybe a better firing solution. So there's that. So that's kind of like how you rotate the firing that's going through the with this mech. You really, when you're a 5.8, you don't necessarily want to heat these things up past 4, because you're just taking away your advantage of having some speed. You're shooting yourself literally in the foot that way. You don't want to do that. That'd be not so smart. All right, so that's pretty much how you're going to use it. Is you're going to be following along behind somebody along the formation, and just banging away with those 2 to 4 weapons per turn. And then when the opportunity arises, if you got any type of lance that's like a cavalry style lance, and this thing might be part of that lance, you're going to be working the flank, trying to get around and get into a right side, left side type of situation where you're funneling damage from all those mechs into one mech's flank. And if they bother to turn towards you, then they're opening up the flank to other mechs, so they can focus in on a flank. When you focus on a flank of a mech, you can funnel more damage into a specific area. And if they got XL engines, and that's how we typically will kill a lot of XL engine mechs, is just focus fire in an arc and then funnel it all the way in. It's either you're taking a leg out, arm, and it just compounds right down the line. And it just exponentially starts getting really bad for that mech, and next thing you know, they're laying on the ground. So that's how we kind of do it. So that's how I envision using this mech, and that's how I've seen this mech being used, and I've seen this mech, it's like, hey, that's an XL engine mech, and it goes both ways, you know, the whole concept, and they just like take that guy out right there, hit him a few turns, and his armor might be disappearing pretty quickly, especially if you're hitting them with, if you're fighting against clans where they got the heavier hitting weapon systems in the range, they can do it. They can focus a mech like this down pretty quickly. So there was that. Then there's another version. See, the previous one was the D4 coming in at 1537 for battle value. Now we got the D4. Now this is an interesting one I've seen before. This comes in at 1831 for battle value, so more expensive because it has pretty much better weapon systems. It has 4 medium lasers. You got 2 in the center torso, 1 in the right torso, 1 in the left torso. This is harkening back towards the original design. And it got rid of the 2 AC2s in favor of light PPC. So you got a light PPC in the right arm, light PPC in the left arm. All right, those go out to 18, do 5 points damage. Okay. And then we still have the 2 standard PPCs that go out to 18, and those have the 10-point shot box. But the interesting thing is that they still have the Indo Steel on board, but they got rid of the standard ferrofibrous armor in favor of the light ferrofibrous armor. Man, say that 10 times fast. Tongue twister. To free up space so you can put these different weapons systems on board. Because when you look at the previous version, the D3, it has no, it has only 2 spots open for putting in more weapon systems. Yeah, it's like 2 free spots. This one has a few more. Let's see. Actually, I think it this one uses them all up. But the thing is, with this one, you got 16 double heat sinks, so you can dissipate 32. Obviously, you kind of need it for the amount of heat this thing puts out, because you got the 2 PPCs, that puts out 20. And then you got the 2 light PPCs, that puts out 10 more, so that's 30. And if you run, that's 32. Okay, so you're running cool. All right, so that's not a problem there. Now, it's when you get in close and you got those 4 medium lasers, then you start having an issue. Because when you get in close, I'm still going to be firing the 2 PPCs, and then I'm going to be switching over to the light guns, which is the medium lasers. Because your damage output is going to be a lot better. Obviously, you have a benefit with the light PPCs going out to 12 for medium range, and medium range is only 6 with the medium lasers. But if you're within 6, obviously I'm going to be firing the medium lasers, because I'm just going to be shotgunning you with many weapon systems as possible, and then throwing in the PPCs. Now, you could go the route of firing 1 PPC and then firing 2 light PPCs and then the medium laser, so you hit them with a bunch of 5s. That actually might be the best way to go through the rotation, and obviously that's going to be creating a little more heat you can do that for 2 turns. Once again, you hit that 4 heat threshold. If they're not throwing infernos at you, then you're going to be shutting something off to cool off a little bit. Get rid of that. And one of those light PPCs is probably going to get shut off in favor. Keep hammering away with the medium lasers and a standard PPC. There you go. That's kind of like how I rotate that through. And you got a good amount of damage going down range. And you can do up to, was it 35? That's not bad. So that's going for it. Let's see. There are a couple, what are the quirks on this thing? It's got anti-aircraft targeting. What are the, let's see. They got the, it's got a battle computer basically. So fast-moving targets, you're capable of hitting fast-moving targets easier. So you got to mind. So yeah, if you're firing at air targets, you got a -2. Fast-moving ground targets, you got a -1. So yeah, I remember using that. That's one of the quirk things that you can have going for it, which is kind of nice for that. And then what's the overhead arms? Yeah, that comes, like, if you ever played Mech Warrior Online, where you can come up to a hill and then fire your weapon systems over the hill without being able shot back at. So you're basically getting partial cover when you're behind it. So, yeah, it's just one of those things. It's kind of like the Dasher being able to do the same thing. So, the Fire Moth, for those of you of the clan stature. All right. Well, that's pretty much it when it comes to the Jaeger 3. It's got some good capability. You're obviously going to use it in your cavalry style formation because it's got the speed. It can get around. You can get it down the flanks, hammering some damage downrange. Not bad. Just don't get it engaged too soon or early in the game, because if you do, yeah, the XLs, it's like whenever I see an XL mech, XL engine anywhere near, it's like we have a tendency to focus that thing and get rid of it as quick as possible. It just depends. Yeah, you look at it, it's like, all right, everybody's got a good fire. Let's just focus this one down, get rid of it, move on to the next one. Because it's kind of like the order of operation. We got all the big hitters, hit it, rip all the armor off. Then we got the secondary guys with all the cluster munitions, not musicians. Hey, going out there with the symbols. But hammering away and then just cluster hit them to death. You know, it's like, hey, there's a crit, there's a crit, there's a crit. And eventually you either hit the ammo on the right side or you get a bunch of engine hits and shut them down. And that's pretty much how it works for the most part. So that's it. That's the Jaeger 3. Not overly bad, not really good. It just fits a kind of a niche mech. So if you play against a lot of combined arms, it's not a bad thing to throw out there, especially if you're seeing VTOLs everywhere. And then you can use the quirks that go with that and make it more useful in the game. You know, actually doing what it's supposed to do instead of just playing mech on mech type thing. Shoot those VTOLs down. Knock out those hovercraft. There you go. All right, so that's it. That's the Jaeger 3. Hope you guys like it. Like and subscribe, share with friends, and we'll see you in the next one. Elk Rakes out.